What is closure, and give me an example of closure?
Sure. So closure is basically it you closure in closure it contains means I have implemented. My English might not be proper, but I'll be able to explain that, I am sure.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
please get with me on this, okay? Like it's not like I'm preparing for interviews for long time, so that like I'll prepare definitions and all, but I'll be able to explain, no issue. So
Just give me an example as well.
yeah, sure. So closure is like if there it will contain the information even if the function is even if the function gets executed for further execution. Like suppose we have a function, okay, and inside that function there is another function in which there is let's suppose there is an object called person, and in that person object we have a property name Vikas, and there is another function, let's suppose function say hello, and inside that function there is a function call, and inside the second function we are using this dot name. So here closure comes into effect that when we will like call the first function, like say hello, like the higher order function which is hello. So uh, so say hello gets executed and it returns the output as function call, in which this dot of name is there, and there is a and but after the second execution, and we'll do this, like we'll pass the this method person's method property inside that function, and even after the execution of the function say hello, the call function will get executed, and this dot name will throw the value of like whatever the property was in the object person. Like suppose property is name Vikas, so this dot name, even if the function got executed earlier, it will throw the value Vikas.
Okay. So can you tell me like difference between arrow function and normal function?
Yeah. So arrow functions are basically arrow functions. In arrow functions we don't use wait I'll tell. Arrow functions, it's a basically a simpler and easier way to to write any functions, and it is used in JavaScript. So basically in arrow function what we do, uh, uh, we can uh, we can take the input and we can return within a function itself. Like let's suppose we take a any variable called hello. So if we do const hello, so we will take an input, then we give an arrow, and then whatever the return statement is, we can execute within that function itself. So it's basically easier to write, easier to understand, and it makes our code process optimized. And yeah, that's it.
Only for easier to write, and this arrow function introduce.
It has some other properties. Just a second, I'll think. Arrow functions.
This property is an advantage.
Yeah. So on this properties, it has an advantage that it will return the output in arrow functions. We can use this, and it will return like this dot name. So whatever will the input, like there is a prop, okay, and wherever we are
arrow function do not have their own this context.
No, arrow functions doesn't have this. We can use in class component. In functional component, when we use arrow functions, they does not this. In class components for lifecycle methods and for lifecycle uses, we go for implementing lifecycle methods. We use this, but here these hooks have been implemented, so we don't. And inside arrow function, we can't use this.
Okay. So so this is advantage.
Yeah, this is advantage of arrow function.
So how it advantage?
Yeah, so like inside this Just a minute. No, I don't have any idea on this.
Okay.
How it's an editor. Sorry.
Yeah, no issue. Do you know bind and apply method in JavaScript?
Yeah.
Can you tell me?
So there are, if I include one more for my knowledge, so it's a call, bind and apply. So basically what it does is that it uses method of another object. And can I explain giving example?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So if there is a function, and inside that function we call an let's suppose we return a statement this dot name again. So but the name property isn't in that function. So and then there is another object called person, and inside that person object there is a property called name. So what we can do is that we can call the earlier function like that, and then call, and we can pass this object. So what it will return that if there was this dot name, and it uses the method of another object, so it will this dot name will return the name property whatever is the value in the person object. So call and bind is like when we call those, so it will be like function dot call, and inside the parenthesis we use the object name, comma, whatever the message or any argument we want to throw, we just put it inside the inverted commas, or we just put the argument name. But what happens in the apply? What happens in this is that instead of everything is just similar. Instead of passing the second, second parameter, which is message or any argument, it should be sent in an array. And then the third one is that it uses there is two object, and inside another object there is a property which has some variables of the other object. So if we do dot bind and we pass both the objects, then it will combine both the properties of the objects, and it will pass the desired value.
Okay. Can you implement a polyfill for the bind method of JavaScript?
I forgot. Sorry.
No issue, no worry. No worry. Can you so do you know what is debouncing in JavaScript?
Yeah, debouncing is basically whatever if we set any time limit, and if it basically takes the output from the queue stack and it prints the output. So basically there are throttle and debouncing. So throttle takes us into the call stack or the task stack, and debouncing throws the elements from the task stack to return.
Okay.
My definitions must not be clear. Sorry for that.
I understand. Yeah.
But I have implemented all of this. So, and some points I might miss. Sorry for that.
Okay, no worry. Should
polyfill I had.
Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah, so I was just saying polyfills, it's some related to object prototype chain. So I have read about it, but I am forgetting about it. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worry. So, can you tell me difference between a let and where variable?
Yeah, sure. So where is a global scope, and I'll just start from basics. Where is a global scope, and let is a block scope, and so where is a functional scope as well. So if we use any variable like let in the global scope, and like suppose let a equals to anything, any string, and if we call them in the function, then it will throw undefined. But if we uh, uh, like declare any function variable where in the global scope, and we take it like when we execute it in a function, so it will first search in the function, like which is also called as local scope. It will search in the functional the local scope if there is any, if there is that variable or not. If there is not, that variable is not there, then it will go into the global scope, and it will render it will return the execution rather than stating as undefined. And and lat is a block scope. If we like say any if block or any block we are using, and if we use any let variable, let's suppose we use if let I equals to something, like in coding we do. So after the block statements we can't execute I, it will just show throw undefined. But if we use where variable, so where is just not a block scope, where is a global scope. So if we execute like after this mm, uh, if we execute after I mean to say that block, then it will get executed. And there are some more like see if we like suppose
Yeah. So is where is affected by temporal dead zone?
no,
Okay.
only lat and constant affected by temporal dead zone.
Okay. What is temporal? By the way, what is temporal dead zone?
Yeah. So there is one concept called wasting. So what is does is that it takes the like declaration of the it takes the declaration of the variables to the top of the scope. Like if we initialize a variable, right, and then we call that variable, and after that we declare that variable. So if we do this, if we like declare this variable as there, so it will show the output. But what happens even though we have declared it after the initialization, but in case of when we use let, it will not throw the output, because in that case it takes the variable like declare not the initialization, it takes the declarations to the top, and that's a temporal dead zone.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is also basically one of the major differences between where and let.
Okay.
Hmm.
So can you tell me what is the output of this written syntax in the chat box?
This will return false,
Why?
because like the first in like we're comparing this, so this will be a boolean output. Okay. And like the first parameter which we are comparing is like blank blank I should say object, and the second one is also a object, but it says like it is not equal to a blank object. So when compare is done, so okay, no. So if it's not equals to like blank object, it will return. Yeah, it is so false, true false.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
No,
like
it will return true. So you cannot. This is an blank array, and you are trying to make not equal to blank array. Should be equal make true. Okay. So I have given you another question. So 2 is equal to 2 in an array. What would be the output of this?
like when we compare this, it shows like JavaScript. In JavaScript, the strings get converted to numbers. So in arrays, what will be basically it will convert. This will convert. This will take this like output. It will convert to number. So yeah, it will be true.
Why?
Because in JavaScript, like when we compare, right? So if there is like it will just like both the array, it is a data type, right? So when we do double equal to, it does not compare the data type, it just compare the value. But if we use triple equal to, then it will compare the data type and it will return false. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's have some React questions.
So was this? Sorry to interrupt. Was this answer correct?
Yeah, first last one is correct and first one is wrong. So first one should be
Okay,
true.
sure.
Yeah, true.
Fine. Okay.
So can you tell me difference between state variable and normal variable and React?
Yeah. So state variables are like basically what projects I used and what I studied. I was using functional components. So in functional components are stateless basically if we don't use hooks. So like suppose I'll tell you with an example. So basically if we are typing anything and from in the next moment we are changing that input. So here it is a state and state gets modified and it gets changes dynamically. So we'll have to use hooks to manage the state.
Okay.
So basically in this case we will use state hook. There are different other hooks as well.
Okay. How is it variable? Like if I'll define normal variable? So when you will generally every time when you will use the state variable and when you will use normal variable?
Okay, so basically if something is getting modified, will get modified or will get updated, so then we'll use state variables. And in other cases, if we just want to render anything which doesn't get updated after every execution, so for that we won't use state.
So that will use normal variable?
Yeah.
Hey, how JSX is understood by browser?
Yeah, so basically JSX is JavaScript XML. It uses like with the help of JSX only we are able to write HTML into HTML inside JavaScript, and which makes our function execution fast, and which also uses like different components so that we can reuse our codes. And
No, that's fine.
there are
That's I understand JSX. But how browser understands JSX? Does browser understand JSX?
Yeah. So basically, it's related to DOM, right? Document Object Model. Yeah. So a DOM gets created, and like HTML, it's a tree. Tree DOM gets created, and how it's changed, I'll tell you how it gets updated. Like for the React and in optimization, faster optimization, it uses a virtual DOM. So basically what happens is that if anything gets changed or modified, right? So a copy of the virtual DOM gets created, and in that copy, that particular state gets changed.
My question is different. So browser don't understand JavaScript, but browser doesn't understand JSX. So whenever you're writing a React, it is written in JSX. So how it is browser interface with JSX?
Okay. So there are some JavaScript engines. Is it right? There are some JavaScript engines through which browser understand JSX.
Have you heard about Babel?
Yeah, Babel I have heard. These are the dependencies we used to use, but I don't have clear knowledge of this dependencies. We used to add these dependencies, I remember. and I didn't had to do like we just installed the dependencies, and I didn't had to do much with this. Although I should know this, but I really don't know about this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know what is CRF, CSRF, cross-site request forgery?
Pardon, please. Can you please repeat?
CSRF.
CSRF.
Yeah.
Cross-site repeat. Yeah, I have heard about it. It comes in the network log, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what used to happen is that
It is a security vulnerability. Yeah.
Yeah. So what used to happen is that if we if we declare a variable in a component and we pass it as prop in other component, and inside the other component where we are using, we were not able to use that prop. So yeah, it used to, and apart from that, we are using that prop, but we are not using the property which is in the prop. We are using the property which is not in the prop. So it used to throw error, and it used to define it as CSRF. Not a clear idea of it. So
Okay, Navi. Do you know how to implement lazy loading in React routers?
no, I have not went through this part.
Okay,
Basically.
okay. Do you know what is error boundary in React?
Yeah, error boundaries. I know error boundaries like some error boundaries we use like try and catch. We use like if we anything we are implementing in a try, and if it throws an error, so it will the error, then we will catch that error and throw it as error. And there is also a finally block. So even if the function gets executed in try and it won't get executed in try, it doesn't matter. The finally block gets executed, and yeah.
Okay. So,
There are some different errors like syntax error, logical error, data type error.
mhm. Do you know what is code splitting?
Sorry, I
Okay.
haven't heard.
So have you do you know what is course error?
Yeah, course error, that means that if we are using any prop, and inside that prop we are using an object which is using a property which is not in that object, then it's throw a course error. And inside that network log,
No, I guess
uh,
yeah.
so if we are fetching some like we are fetching some data, and we are not calling and we are the whatever we are calling it is not in that response sheet, so it will throw the course error.
Mm-hmm. So the definition you gave. So have you ever? I will ask. Have you ever faced course error?
Yeah, I have faced, and with that logic only, I am trying to explain the course elements when I have faced. But the last time I faced was during integrating Engage, which is the in-app campaign. So couple of times I was facing a course error. But when I tried to fetch it in the right way and whatever the response was in the data set,
How can you fix this course error?
no, not fetch this course error.
No, how can you fix this course error? How the course error can be fixed?
How course error can be fixed, right? Like what I did was that whatever I was taking the data from the response set, right? I was not taking the right data, like which is like let's suppose there is a data.title or something. So I was not taking that in the right way. So when I used it in the right way, then it threw that. Then it stopped throwing that course error.
Mhm. Actually, it is a different origin error. Like,
Course origin
yeah,
policy. I have
when you
heard.
are calling it like from different origin, you get server throws a course error. Yeah.
Yeah.